Good morning, everyone. Type your USN in the group chat. Okay, 25 participants, 26 participants, still they are joining. Let them join. So we'll just continue with respect to our particular topic discussion. In the last class, we just started with respect to one of the technique which is coming under s- structural based testing, right? So that is nothing but white box testing, we'll call it as. In the white box testing, we have seen one particular technique called as fault based technique. Fault based technique is nothing but you are introducing some seeding faults. That means you know that that is an error. It will result in a different manner. That's what you are changing it, and you are just checking it. So this helps you in two ways. One is it will check for each one of the line, whatever the changes that you are making it, and to which what is the resultant one. If any fault is identified, there only you can rectify. Before leaving it to the market, you can rectify. That is the advantage. Okay, so that is what we have seen it in the last class. So in that one example was with respect to your mutation testing. Mutation testing is nothing but we are introducing the seeding faults, right? Seeded faults. That means one particular change to the original program, we are making it. It may be with respect to the operator change or the value change or something else. Each statement, I'll just change one particular thing. If you are saying that A is greater than 10, then I'll say that A is less than 10 in my one particular change. So this becomes my mutant. A is less than 10 is the mutant. Original program is A is greater than 10. So this is how I will be just changing it. So this copy, I'll just keep it as it is. I'll run both the programs for the same particular test input that I'm taking it for a variable where the value will be accepted in the A value. So in that particular thing, if both are behaving in the same particular fashion, then there is a problem in your original code, there is a problem. So you should not neglect it. You should change some other particular certain things, and then once again you need to come back with the output. If the original program is giving you some different output followed by your mutant program, or after changing the program, after introducing the fault, if it is changing, if you are getting the different output means, then such type of mutants or copy need to be killed. This is what we have just assumed. We have just seen it in the last class. So now we'll just move on to the next one. What do we believe? If you have seeded faults, then it is easily understandable that in whichever the condition that you feel, you just put it your particular application, it works fine. So that particular thing that we are just looking into, we are just identifying the buggy faults, and we are just separating it from our particular application. Just to identify the faults, we are introducing some faults, and we are getting the reliable product. Just for the reliability issue, we are just going with it. So there are two assumptions made for your mutation testing. One is competent programmer hypothesis. Another one is coupling effect hypothesis. Component programmer hypothesis, what it says, we know that the program is nearly correct. It is very simple example that I can give you is, your same regular lab programs with respect to whatever you execute in the regular lab, with respect to that, if you execute in the internals of the exam, what you'll be saying? You have written the same particular code, everything is one and the same, but still you are not getting the output. The machine is having some fault. That's what you'll be saying, right? But ultimately, you, due to the particular nervousness that you are feeling it in the internals or in the exam, you will be failing to, or you have changed a one particular operator from less than to greater than, or equal to not equal to, or something like that. Then your output will not be coming. So such a type of assumption is nothing but your component programmer hypothesis. So I know that my program is entirely, completely bug free or error free. There is no particular chance of faults in that particular program. Faults are nothing but it will be a next version of your error. One series of error, if you are committing it, means here error is nothing but committed by the programmer who will be writing the code. Understanding it? So if they have not considered the condition itself, then how can you get the output? So that is what they are checking it. So for that particular reason, if you are checking for a particular separate one type of code itself, one type of thing itself, and if you ask a particular programmer, he will always say that my program is error free. Programs are nearly correct. It is not exactly correct. It is nearly correct. Say somehow 90% of the results, whatever you are expecting is coming. 10% is different. So this is one particular type. How to identify those particular things? Just feed some faults and just identify the remaining 10% also you can identify. So real faults are small variations from the correct program. What they are saying is, once you are saying that entire program is correct, a small change in one particular operator itself or the value itself will change the entire scenario of the program. Simple thing, very simple example. You have you are learning a one programming language, which is a scripting language called as JavaScript, right? So there it is a dynamically typed. So no need to declare a variable with a specific type. Say for example, I'm talking about int a is equal to 10. No need of it. A is equal to 10 will always represent that a is an integer value or a number format value, right? So this is what your dynamic programming is supported. Suppose what happens, we have not checked it. If you check it, what happens if I give any particular text in the prompt where I'm just accessing some input from the external source. Prompt is one particular window where we can access the input to the system from the standard input, anything. It can be keyboard or yeah, stylus sheet, whatever it may be, anything it can be. So using standard input, if you are just providing the input means, then it can accept it. That's what your prompt is all about. So if you are writing, if you are giving it some particular number, it's okay, no problem. If you're giving some particular text, and if you're checking for a is equal to, if I say that you are checking for the triangle problem, where the triangle problem always deals with numbers, because you are talking about the side length. Side length will always be given in terms of numbers. So if you give it with respect to your words, what happens? Or the alphabets, what happens? Letters, what happens? So it will give you one particular type of output saying that not a number. If it is giving you some particular if you give input followed by the output should be a numeric type, then it will say that that particular number cannot be used because it's a not all a number, it's a character. That's what it will be identifying and it will be giving you. So these particular things are nothing but your component programmer hypothesis. If you say NAN, then there will be a confusion because I have not taught you what is NAN, because we didn't get that particular type of error itself. That means to say that we should not concentrate on that? No. That's what your component programmer hypothesis is all about. So my program is entirely written correctly, but if I don't typecast the particular value to the equivalent value, whichever is necessary to be done, then it is of no use. So that's what you're saying it. So you need to check for that particular type of input also. So once you're checking, then you'll come to know what is NAN. Based on that, your particular mutant can be killed based on. Okay. Next one is coupling effect hypothesis. This is coupling. That's what they are saying it. So one particular identification of the fault, you're doing it. Hello? Am I audible to all of you? Am I audible? Hello? Okay. Thank you. We'll just continue. Coupling effect is nothing but coupling. That's what it says. If you identify a simple error, like what I said, NAN, if you identify it, from that, if any particular special characters, if it comes, then what should be the thing? So it is an interlink between that particular thing. So whatever it comes, everything should be compensated with respect to saying that it is a not a number, because 0 to 9 is a digit that we are concentrating on that particular thing. If anything comes between that particular 0 to 9 as the pattern, then I'll identify it as a number or a digit. Otherwise, I'll just throw that particular thing itself. All others, rest of the things should be not a number. So it is nothing but whatever the simple faults that you are identifying, it may result your test case, whatever you are taking it, test suit, whatever you are taking it. If you identify a simple fault, it may also take your complex faults also. Simple thing, I'll just tell you. Somewhere you have mentioned a particular variable value as 10. Okay, instead of taking it from the standard input, you have mentioned, or you have constantly given the value as 10. During so many changes that you have made with respect to your code, you have just identified that if you just give 10, if it is coming or not, you just to check that you have written it. Fine. Now your program is ready with error free, everything is correct, but whatever the input that you are feeding, it's not taking. It will always take that particular 10 number and it will compute it and it will give you the result. So whichever the value that you give, for everything it is resulting the same particular output itself. So how to rectify it? So you need to go line by line changes. Then you will be coming under that particular part called as where you have initialized the value as 10. So instead of that, take it from the standard input. Now, entire program, wherever it was having that particular variable, everywhere it will be linked. So your entire program gets ready. That is nothing but your coupling effect hypothesis. Understanding it. If a small minor change that you are making it for your program, if it works fine for the rest of the particular computation, that becomes coupling effect. If your particular program in that only that particular line, with respect to that, if you are changing it, if you are checking it, if you are getting that particular output as different, then that is nothing but your component programmer hypothesis. Small changes. From the small changes, if you are identifying rest of the changes also, then it is nothing but your coupling effect. So this is two assumptions that they are making it with respect to your mutation testing. Next one is they're saying that mutation operators. Normally, your mutation will be different based on the language that you are using. Language in the sense, computer programming languages I'm talking about. So with respect to that, C++, if you are changing any mutation, means that is applicable for C++ type of programs. Your application should be written in the C++ only. That is different. Whereas if you write it in Java, then separate mutation you need to write it. It is syntactically whatever you are saying it, that should be written it properly. Otherwise, or in the same particular language only, your mutant should be available. If you write the program in Java and if you write the mutation in C++, then it will not work, because syntactically it should agree. So that is what the meaning is. So based on that, your syntax, if it is varying, means then entire thing is different. So that is one particular thing. Next one is some examples has been given here how to change that particular mutant. So first one is constant for constant replacement. So that's what I said. You are checking it for value 10. Next time you need to make that particular thing happen with respect to the whatever the input that you are feeding from the standard input. No, from that it should work. So this is what the constant value that you are checking it. So that particular constant value, you can change it and you can just check it out. Like here, x is less than 12. I'm not changing the operator. I'm changing the value of that particular thing. Instead of 5, I'm comparing it with 12. If 5 value also results same, 12 value also results same, then there is a problem in our particular program. If 5 value, whatever the result that you are getting it as the output, that is different. and your x less than 12, whatever you are giving it for this separate particular output you are getting it, then your mutant can be killed. This particular change can be killed. This is our original program. This is our mutant program. This can be killed. So this is how it will be working. Next, similarly, with respect to your relational operator replacement, that's what less than or equal to, greater than, less than or equal to, instead of it less than, you just take it. Simple example I'll give you with respect to your triangle problem itself. So we have seen that one particular side, if you are taking it, it should be less than the summation of two sides, or in the other sense, b plus c, that is if you are taking b and c as the two sides, a b c as the three sides, with respect to that, summation of any two sides should be greater than the third side. This is what we have just checked it. We have just seen it. If I just change that particular scenario to greater than equal to, then also the resultant will be one and the same means there is some problem. I need to check with respect to each one of the changes. So for equal to, if it is working fine, if it is giving the same particular type of output, means there is some problem in our particular code. So either it should be greater than or it should be less than. So cannot be greater than equal to or less than equal to. That's what it says. So based on that particular relational operator change, we need to check it. The last one, variable initialization elimination. Instead of initializing some value to the variable, I'll just declare it. Declaration of the thing is nothing but you are saying that var, according to our particular programming language which we are dealing with, that is JavaScript, var will say it, that is a variable name, that's what it says. So that is a notation that we have given it, that is a keyword used for identifying the variables, followed by x, that's all. Understanding it. So this is how the particular thing, the changes or the mutation operators, you can just go with it. Is that clear? Can I move forward to the next slide? So these are all the changes that we are just making it. Okay. Simple example, one scenario has been given. We create 100 mutants from the single program that we are having it. It may have 100 lines of code or more than that, or 50 lines of code, whatever it may be. So 100 mutants we have created from the program that we have, from the application program that we have written. So we run our test suite. That is, our input will be fed with respect to all the 100 mutants plus the original program. The original program passes all the tests, should be passed. It is not that it should fail. So your original program will definitely pass all the particular tests. Now, coming back to the second one, see this 94 mutant programs are killed. Okay, so what does that means? Killed means at least one test. If you are just making it, then you will be resultant will be different based on that. 6 mutants remain alive out of 100. 94 has been killed, so remaining 6 mutants still it will be kept alive. What do you mean by this? That's what they are asking. So your 100 mutants, out of it 94 has been killed, means 94% accuracy, your particular code will work fine. But remaining 6%, because you are keeping the mutants alive, means when we keep the mutants alive, when we get the same particular type of output, whatever we got it with respect to your original program, during that particular period, we'll be keeping the mutants alive. For checking further things, based on those particular six, we may introduce some 600 mutants for that. Based on each particular change, 100 mutants, once again, I may introduce. it goes on until and unless we kill all the mutants, this should happen. That's what they say. So based on your particular current environment, current scenario, it may give you 100% mutant killed with respect to everything. But unfortunately, we will not get this particular scenario anywhere in our software development area. Otherwise, maintenance was not at all important, playing a vital role. This is where your maintenance comes into picture. Okay, I'll just pause this particular screen. We'll just take one example with respect to your mutants, how to create it, how it will be created, and we'll come back to this particular slide once again. Okay, so I'm just Is the screen visible to all of you? Is the screen visible? Hello? Okay, stay online. I'll just get back in a moment because there is a problem arise in my system. So stay online. I'll just get back to you. Okay.